Level 1. $0. The undateable. You get left on read by a barista, and in 20 years, Hollywood actresses like Sydney Sweeney fly to a private island just to get a text back from you. Right now, though, you're 22. No job, no degree, $11 in checking. You split a studio in New Jersey with a dude named Reggie, and your Tinder profile flatlines the second she asks what you do. Your big move is, let's just walk around, because walking's free. Last week you planned a whole date around $14 and prayed she wouldn't order an appetizer. She ordered the appetizer. Then Marcus walks in. Same hometown, 2 years older, leasing a BMW sedan he can't afford and parking it where God and everybody can see it. You'd been talking to this girl all night. She clocks his keys on the counter. He scoops them up, looks dead at you and goes, "Relax, man. She's just upgrading her commute." And she leaves with him. So you go home. You stare at your phone. Read. 9:14 p.m. Nothing. You type out 3 texts. You send none of them. And around 3 in the morning, you make yourself a stupid little promise. That one day you'll have so much, the choosing won't be theirs anymore. It'll be yours. The number you eventually hit? $100 billion. And one day, Marcus is the one calling you. And not for the reason you'd think. Level 2. $25,000. The vow lasted exactly 1 sober morning, but it lasted long enough. You stopped buying the round, you showed up early, you said yes to the job nobody wanted, and the job paid $25,000 a year. The first thing you did was not save it. The first thing you did was delete Tinder and download Hinge, because a guy at work said Hinge is for people who want something real. What he meant was, now you have a job title. And on Hinge, a job title counts as a personality. You don't notice it at first, but you only match with women in your exact bracket. You can read it like a map. The ones who suggest the taco place where everything's $8. The ones whose cars have 130,000 miles and a check engine light they've named. The ones who say, I love trying new restaurants and mean the new one by the laundromat. Nobody plans this. The number plans it for you. Broke dating is 2 people negotiating who's less broke. You both order water and call it not that hungry. Then you meet Dana. Retail management, makes about what you make, and for 3 dates, it's the best thing that's happened to you since you had money to lose. Then on the 4th, she mentions her ex. Offhand. He had his own place. 5 words. They go in like a splinter you won't find for a week. So you do the dumbest possible thing. You book the $90 dinner you can't afford to prove you're not the bracket you obviously are. The check comes. Your card gets declined. And you hear yourself say the words every broke man has said in that exact chair. Weird, my bank keeps flagging fraud. She covers the check and says it's no big deal. And that's the most disrespectful thing a woman can do to a broke man. Be nice about it. She doesn't dump you. That's not how this works. She just starts suggesting you stay in. The texts get shorter. Then there's a Sunday you don't hear from her at all, and you tell yourself she's busy. 2 weeks later, Instagram does what Instagram does. There she is, at a restaurant you've never been able to afford, with a guy, captioned with a heart. It isn't Marcus, but it's a Marcus. There's always a Marcus. And standing there holding your phone, you finally get the thing nobody ever warned you about. It was never your face. It was never the app. Dana didn't leave because of a fight. She left because of $300 a month in disposable income. The exact gap between the restaurants you suggest and the ones he can. You look at the last thing she sent you. Read. You're on the other end of it now. Same word. Same silence. You could get angry. Instead, you do something colder. You start running the math on how far up you'd have to climb before the choosing stops happening to you and starts happening for you. You picture a life so far above this one that women you can't even imagine are the ones left staring at the gray dots. You decide to chase it. On purpose this time. Level 3. $100,000. Chasing it on purpose works faster than you'd think. A promotion, a side thing that finally pays 2 years of saying yes. And one day you sign a lease on your own place. The exact thing that cost you Dana. You stand in the empty living room and feel like you've won an argument with a woman who isn't there anymore. You re-download Hinge. This time you pay for it. $8 a week to see who already liked you because at 100,000 you've stopped waiting and started shopping. And the women react differently now. For the first time she asks what you do and actually wants the answer. That's not curiosity. That's a credit check with eyelashes. You watch a date's whole posture change the second you say the title and the neighborhood. Shoulders turn in, The laugh comes half a beat sooner. Turns out your zip code is more charming than you are. Always was. You just couldn't afford to find out. So you start trading up. You won't call it that, but that's what it is. A woman you actually like texts to confirm Saturday. That same morning a match comes through who's 2 leagues above you. Someone who would have swiped past you without slowing down at 25,000. You cancel on the first one. You go on the upgrade date. It's gorgeous and completely hollow. She's bored. You're performing, and you spend the whole dinner missing the woman you stood up. Then you do it again the next weekend anyway. You run into Marcus at a rooftop thing. Still leasing, still loud, but something shifted. He clocks your shoes, asks where you live now, and when you tell him, he laughs a beat too hard and says, "Must be nice." 2 words. The ones men use when the envy outgrows the smile. For the first time, the power tips an inch toward you. You feel it. You like it more than you'll admit. The woman you're seeing screenshots your profile and fires it into her group chat. The caption says, "Found a real one." Not a good one. A real one. Like you're a designer bag she just authenticated. Then, later that night, you replay the evening and catch something. She talked for 2 hours and never asked you a single question about you. Not your family, not your past. She knew the title, the neighborhood, the number. She'd done all the homework on the wrapper and none on the thing inside it. And the suspicion moves in, quiet and permanent, like a tenant who is never going to leave. Are they choosing you? Or are they choosing the number? A coworker mentions an app you've never heard of, Raya. Invite only. "It's where the actual quality is," he says, like he's doing you a favor, and sends you the link. You tell yourself you're just curious. You apply. The screen says you've been added to the waitlist. There's a door above this one, and you have no idea yet what's standing on the other side. Or that 20 years past it is a room where the whole world waits on you. Level 4. $500,000. The side hustle finally outgrew the day job. You quit, turned it into a real company, and the first contract that actually mattered cleared you past $500,000. And the waitlist clears the same season you cross it. The email just arrives. "Welcome to Raya." You open it and the apps you used to live on look like another planet. Raya is just Tinder that went to private school. Same rejection. Better lighting. A guy at the gym tells you about a matchmaker. $15,000 up front. She only works with serious men. You write the check before you've thought about what serious is code for. And the women are, flatly, a tier you couldn't have gotten a coffee with 2 years ago. A dancer. A founder. Someone with 80,000 followers and a skincare line. And you cannot tell for the life of you who likes you. That's the new thing. The thing that moves in and never leaves. At 25,000, the problem was rejection. At 500,000, there's no rejection at all. Just a low hum under every dinner asking whether she's here for the man or the access. You can't hear it. You can only feel it like a fridge running in another room. So you test it. Everybody tests it. You forget your card on a date to watch her face. She doesn't blink, covers it, laughs, says, "You're not impressing me with money, I have my own." Something unlocks in your chest. Then a week later, a mutual friend mentions casually that she'd Googled your company the night before you met. The test proved nothing. The tests never prove anything. Then the matchmaker calls. She calls it a calibration. You expect her to ask what you're looking for in a person. She doesn't. She asks your liquid net worth. She asks whether you'd relocate for the right match. She's not being rude. That's just not a matchmaker. That's an underwriter with a candle lit. And sitting there answering her, you realize you're no longer the shopper. You're not shopping anymore. You're the thing on the shelf with a little sign that says, "Liquid." She sets you up. The date is flawless. Same restaurants, same references, no math, no declined card, no silence. A beautiful woman who laughs at the right time. And it's flawless because it was engineered to be. 2 people pre-matched on income and ambition, performing a chemistry a $15,000 consultant decided you should have. You drive home and can't sleep. You cannot remember the last time someone chose you by accident. There used to be a girl at a party who didn't know your salary and laughed anyway. Now there's a curated profile on your phone and you leave it on red for 3 days because you have options. You've become the thing that used to ignore you. You match with someone new and recognize a face in her old photos. Marcus, 3 years back, his arm around her at a bar. The world's that small now, and you're above him in it. You don't even feel the win. You're too busy wondering if by accident is still available, at any price. Level 5, $1 million. By accident dies the moment you stop needing it. The company doubles in a year, you pull the first real chunk off the table, and your net worth crosses $1 million. And by the time you hit it, Raya isn't the ceiling anymore. It's the floor. You get added to a group chat, 15 guys at your level, and it isn't full of profiles. It's full of locations. A yacht day off the marina. A found a dinner in a private room. A birthday in Tulum where the guest list is the gift. Dating stops happening on a screen. It starts happening in rooms. And the women in these rooms are a different species. Stunning, but also sharp, fluent in your exact language. They know what exit and liquid mean. And early, gently, somewhere between the first and second drink, one of them asks it real soft. The place in your photos. You own or rent. That's not flirting. That's due diligence with a wine glass. Nobody here is a gold digger. Gold digging is for amateurs. These women have a research department and they're better at hiding it than you are. At the Tulum table, a guy leans over and mentions someone. A man worth 9 figures who doesn't even date publicly anymore. You ask what that means. He shrugs. They sign things first. You laugh like you get it. You file it away. That's the tier you decide you're aiming at. Then you meet Vanessa. And it's real. The realest since Dana, just louder and glossier. You start picturing the actual it. And that's exactly when your lawyer, who you did not ask, emails you a prenup template. For when it gets serious, the subject line says. A document doing math on your love before you've said it out loud. You bring it up badly. There's no good way you find the worst one. Vanessa goes very still. Then she says the sentence that ends it. I'm not signing a paper that says you already expect me to leave. And here's the thing. She's not wrong. And neither are you. The money built a sentence nobody in the room could win. She leaves. You don't chase her. And hating that about yourself. The not chasing, that's brand new. Old you would have run down the street. New you watches the door close and feels his hand stay in his pocket. That night you do the thing you swore at 22 you'd never become. You open Raya, and the pool refills instantly. 3 new matches before you finish the wine. You stay heartbroken for exactly 1 Uber ride. And the relief you feel is the scariest thing yet. Scarier than the declined card. Scarier than Marcus. Because you finally understand what the whole climb has been quietly building. The more easily you can replace a person, the less any single person can ever reach you. Vanessa's last text sits there. You read it. You leave it on read. On purpose. A few weeks later, you hear Marcus got engaged. To a teacher. There's a photo. A backyard, a cheap ring, and a grin you haven't worn in years. It bothers you. You don't let yourself look at why. And the 9-figure ghost from the Tulum table stops sounding like a warning and starts sounding like a destination. Level 6. $10 million. You sold a slice of the company to people with real money, and the wire that landed made you worth 10. The relief became a habit, and the habit got noticed. Men at the top can smell a man who stopped flinching. And somewhere around 10 million you stop downloading anything at all. You don't apply. You get invited. The first time, it's a text with an address and no name on the door. You walk in, and it takes most of the night to understand what you're looking at. Every woman in the room is beautiful in the same expensive, frictionless way, and not one of them is there by accident. They were screened, and the conversations are perfect. Every woman in the room is in wellness, in fashion, or launching something. Nobody has a job. Everybody has a brand, and you cannot tell a real spark from a well-run approach. So you do what you swore you'd never do. You run background checks before the second date. You're not paranoid. Paranoid is free. You're paying a firm to be paranoid for you. Then you let one pass the wall anyway. Sloan. 6 months. And you're genuinely, finally certain this one is real. Then your family office flags something. The startup you quietly wired $250,000 into doesn't exist. Just a shell and a story. And the pregnancy scare from a month ago. The one that had you talking about forever. The timing of it, in hindsight, wasn't an accident either. It was surgical. That wasn't even the worst part. The worst part is what a man 1 level above you says when you tell him. He doesn't gasp. He nods, slowly, like you've reported weather. You're still dating like a person, he says. Up here, you stop dating and start signing. And the Tulum line finally makes sense 18 months too late. The breakup with Sloan lasts exactly as long as the lawsuit. Every conversation has $250,000 hiding inside it. So you settle, quietly, to make it disappear. The settlement is cheaper than the feeling, so you build the wall back higher. Your lawyer suggests it, and you don't even flinch. An NDA, signed before the second date. You hand a woman an NDA over appetizers like it's the wine list. The ones who sign, you call brave. The ones who walk, you call a lucky escape. For you, you've turned being known into a legal event. You call it protection. It's a cage, and you just bought the lock. Then your phone lights up with a name you haven't seen in years. Marcus. Hey man, congrats on everything. Would love to catch up sometime? The teacher-wife marriage is straining under money he doesn't have. You can hear it in the punctuation. The man who handed you the worst night of your young life over a set of car keys is the one reaching now, hat in hand. You read it. You don't reply. You leave it on read for a week, then a month, then forever. She's just upgrading her commute. 20 years later, the line finishes its arc. You're the BMW now, and you feel exactly nothing, which should scare you a lot more than it does. Level 7. $100 million. You took the 10 and built something bigger with it. A second company, a real raise, an exit that cleared 9 figures. The NDA before the second date posture is exactly what the 9-figure world recognizes as one of its own. That's how you get in. Not an app, not a guest list. A person. Someone who's watched you quietly for 2 years. Decides you belong and makes one phone call. And the pool turns into something you used to only see on screens. Actresses. Heiresses. A Grammy nominee whose song was playing in your broke studio at 22. You're dating women you used to have on a poster. 22-year-old, you wouldn't believe it. 42-year-old, you can't feel it. But you don't pick them up. Nobody picks anybody up at this level. Love has a procurement department. Your date comes with a calendar invite, a car, a venue with no sightlines, and an agreement about what gets photographed. The only thing this romance is missing is the romance. You meet a man worth 10 figures, and you notice the women near him don't approach him at all. They're placed, positioned by someone whose actual job is the composition of his personal life. That's the top of the thing I swore I'd reach. It's close now. You date the actress for a season. It's intoxicating and completely unreal. You're both performing a relationship 2 publicity teams signed off on, and the performance is so total that some nights you forget there was ever supposed to be something underneath it. So one night you try. No security, no handler, no plan. A real diner at 2 a.m, vinyl booth, bad coffee, her laughing with food in her hand like a person. It is the best 4 hours you've had in a decade. Her team is furious. It never happens again. That one night becomes the whole problem. You haven't been pursued, actually pursued, by a woman who didn't already know your number in 15 years. You couldn't engineer a random crush if your life depended on it. The access is total. The accident is extinct. At a gathering on a private island, a young guy corners you. Broke, hungry, electric. You at 22 in a borrowed jacket. He asks how you got here, and you open your mouth to warn him. You don't. You watch him scan the room the exact way you used to, counting exits and opportunities, and it lands like cold water. The machine doesn't just keep running, it recruits. You're not the last one through the door. You're the advertisement. And Marcus. You find out his business is failing. The kind of failing that takes the house. So you make it disappear. Anonymously. A bridge of capital routed through 3 entities so he can never trace it to you. He keeps his company, his teacher wife, the backyard, the cheap ring. He never knows it was you. The man who said she's just upgrading her commute owes you his entire livelihood and will go to his grave thanking the wrong people. The inversion is complete. You won every part of it. And it gives you absolutely nothing. There's one number left above this one. The number from the vow. And for the first time, you're afraid to reach it. Because you're starting to suspect what's waiting there. Level 8. $1 billion. Becoming a name does something a number never could. You stopped building companies and started owning them. The portfolio compounded quietly for years until one morning the statement read $1 billion. At $100 million, you were rich. At $1 billion, you're an institution. And institutions don't date. They evaluate matches. Your family office runs the same diligence on a woman you've had 2 dinners with that it runs on a company you're about to buy. A woman you actually liked. Sharp, funny, the first in years who made you forget the calendar. Gets quietly declined by your own people over a tweet from 5 years ago. Your heart said yes. Compliance said no. You got friend-zoned by your own accountant. Your love life has a compliance department now, and it reports to you. And you let it, so you rebel. Once? You choose someone yourself, against advice, just to prove you still can? And for 4 months it's wonderful, and you feel 22 again, choosing with your gut in a hallway. Then a tabloid runs something it shouldn't have had. Then her brother surfaces with an investment opportunity that's really an extraction. The family office without a word is proven right. You fold the relationship back into the process and never object again. You attend a wedding that is, transparently, a merger. A ceremony wrapped around paperwork. Everyone knows. Everyone toasts anyway. It's the only divorce that opens with a press release. And what frightens you isn't the cynicism of it. It's that you agree. You sit there in a $10,000 suit thinking, yes, that's a good match, well structured. You've started seeing people as positions. Two strangers fall in love and your first thought is whether the assets line up. That's when you know the money finished eating. You can now access anyone alive. One text from your office opens any door on the planet. Any name, any face, anyone the broke kid in the studio ever fantasized about. The choosing is finally completely yours. And you've stopped wanting to open the doors. Because you already know what's behind every one of them, and none of it was ever for you. It was for the number wearing your face. There's one number left, the vows number. And alone one night, in a house the public will never see the inside of, you finally let yourself ask the question you've spent 2 decades and $1 billion outrunning. Would anyone want you? Any of them? If you walked in with nothing? If you were no one? Then you see a photo. Marcus, at his kid's birthday. Paper hats, a sheet cake, a backyard you could buy 10,000 times over. He's broke by your math. He's strained, you know that. And he's surrounded by people laughing at his stupid jokes for no reason except that they love him. It's the one thing your $1 billion has never once been able to buy. And you know it the way you know your own name. You put the phone face down on a table that cost more than his house. And you realize the question you just asked yourself already has an answer. You've known it for years. You've just never had the silence to hear it. One more level. You're about to find out what's at the top. Level 9. $100 billion. You hit it. The empire kept eating. Every business you touched turned into a category nobody else could crack. And the number ran all the way out to 100 billion, the exact number from the vow. The one a humiliated 22-year-old swore he'd reach so the choosing would finally, permanently be his. And it all came true. To the letter. Actresses do fly to the island. Models whose faces are on billboards you can see from the boat will rearrange a month for one weekend near you. The girl who walked out with Marcus, the leasing office bracket, the curated profile left on read. Every door that was ever closed isn't just open now. It's been removed from the frame. At this altitude, desire is a deliverable. People get presented to you like a slide deck, with a Q&A after. You employ a man whose whole job is the guest list of your love life. He's got a salary and a 401k for managing who you're allowed to want. You have, down to the decimal, everything that broke kids screamed for in the dark. And you feel it the way you feel the temperature in a climate-controlled room. Which is to say, not at all. Then Marcus gets through. A real call this time, not a DM you can bury. He's old now, and the bridge of money you quietly threw under his business 20 years ago is long spent. He never knew it was you, and he wore it down anyway, and he doesn't want money. You brace for the ask, and the ask never comes. He wants to apologize for a house party 20 years ago. He barely remembers the girl. You spent $100 billion in 2 decades answering a man who forgot the question. He says he never forgot your face, and you sit there holding the phone and finally do the math you've avoided your whole life. 2 decades, $100 billion, an entire existence. Engineered, optimized, armored. Built to answer one cruel sentence from a man who forgot he ever said it. You forgive him. Easily. It costs you nothing. It changes nothing. And somehow that's the loneliest part. An hour later, another message. The girl from that party. Level 1. The 9:14 p.m. red that started all of this. 20 years late, warm, flirtatious. You can have her now. You can have all of them now. You feel nothing. And the nothing is the loudest thing in the room. So here's where it actually ends. Not on a yacht. With a phone at 3 a.m. on an island the world will never find on any map it can buy. You scroll your contacts. Past the actresses. Past the office. Past every door on earth. And you stop on one name. Reggie. The roommate from back when you had $11 to your name. The one person in the entire list who'd pick up right now, half asleep, and ask for nothing. Who'd want you exactly the same broke or unimaginable because he knew you before there was a number to want. Your thumb hovers over his name. You don't text him. Not because the line is dead. The line is fine. You don't text him because you are no longer the man who split that $11 studio with him at 22. And the man you became has nothing left to say that isn't a transaction. You are now the message the entire world stares at, waiting. And the one person you'd answer, you can't bring yourself to reach. You set the phone down. And somewhere out there, right now, a broke 22-year-old is getting left on read at 9:14 p.m., making the exact same vow you made. Certain, completely certain, that it ends differently for him. If this one stayed with you, like and drop a comment with where you're watching from. Subscribe for more.